This beautiful trap will excite you. 2 months ago, I published a video titled How to Beat Chess Masters in 2 Moves. People thought I was joking, but after watching that video, which I guess has popped up in the card above, many people realized that I was actually telling the truth. What I'm about to show you usually happens in bullet and blitz games, and that's part of chess. So you know that I like playing e4 on the first move, and this time my opponent responded with a Pirc defense, and what else can I do apart from pushing the e-pawn twice in the opening stage? I mean, this is what I like doing most of the times in bullet, even against 2500s, and I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you this, guys, but most people pre-move knight to f6 on the second move because they don't have patience, and that's why I play this move. If you think I'm joking, take a look into the Lichess database and you will find that knight to f6 is the second most played move, played by over 65,000 people. Anyway, even though this is not the main idea behind pawn to e5, well, the thing is we just want to transpose this game into the tennis on Gambit. If black plays pawn to e4, after you go knight f3, for example, most people play pawn to e4 here, attacking your knight, just like what my opponent did in the game that I'm analyzing, which I played a few hours ago. So after this, you just want to play knight g5, counter-attacking the pawn, and this is when you're going to see them playing knight to f6, again the top played move in the Lichess database, and you can see that this is no longer the Pirc defense. It's like black played the Scandinavian defense, which is the whole idea of this opening, you guys, taking black out of their comfort zone. So if you want, you can go pawn to d3 here, letting black to take your pawn, and then you take back with your light squared bishop. I mean, I don't have to explain this because obviously black is going to play pawn to h6. You can see that's the top played move in the Lichess database once again, which is a blunder, because that allows you to sacrifice your knight on f7, and if king takes, you can simply go bishop g6 check, and black cannot escape from Sobibo, so they have to take your light squared bishop, after which you take their free queen on d8. So this is just a cheap trick in the tennis on Gambit. Hold on, this started as a Pirc defense, but along the way we managed to transpose the game into the tennis on Gambit with the help of our dirty trick. So this is like the game started with knight to f3 and then black played pawn to d5. This is how the game normally goes. Then you go pawn to e4, they take, then you go knight g5, counter-attacking the pawn on e4, and then they go knight to f6, defending that pawn, after which you go pawn to d3, then they take, you take back. And it is here where we saw that the top played move in the Lichess database is pawn to h6, after which you take on f7, sacrifice your knight, and on the next move you win black's queen on d8 in the same manner. So this is basically the same idea, but most people won't know. So now let me show you what happened in my actual game that I had today on Lichess, where I started with pawn to e4 as usual. Then my opponent responded with pawn to d6, and by the way, this was a bullet match, so I wasn't even thinking at all, at least in the first 5 to 10 moves of the game. I played pawn to e5, expecting black to blunder, but they just took my pawn, after which I played knight to f3. So immediately I remembered to switch the game back into the tennis on Gambit. My opponent played e4 and I was like, yep, I played knight g5 with the same idea. Then instead of playing knight to f6, allowing me to go pawn to d3, my opponent played bishop f5. And I was like, what the? Anyway, I continued with knight c6. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just switching between traps. Now I'm thinking of the other version of the tennis on Gambit, as you are going to see very soon, putting more pressure on the e4 pawn, so my opponent defended it twice with his knight and bishop, but I continued with bishop c4, targeting the weak f7 pawn. My opponent played pawn to e6. I expected to see all these moves, by the way, because I already presented them in one of my videos in the card above. I blitzed out pawn to f3 and my opponent took. I pre-moved queen takes f3, so I only spent 5 seconds up to this stage of the game. My opponent played pawn to c6 and I automatically knew that this is a blunder because I talked about it. Again, I blitzed out knight takes f7, sacrificing my knight, hence double attacking the queen and the rook. My opponent took, and then quickly I took the bishop on f5 in milliseconds. Then queen d4 was played, after which I played queen takes e6 check. Now watch, 2 days ago I was analyzing this similar position, which most people didn't pay attention to because they thought such things don't happen against higher rated opponents. By the way, my opponent was rated 2233, so he was not an amateur at all. So he played king g6, and I remember covering this move, queen f7 check, because the idea is to go pawn to d3, discovery check by the dark squad bishop. My opponent played king h6. I had an option to go pawn to d3, but the move that I saw first in seconds was pawn to h4, not letting black to escape from Sobibo once again. So my opponent played queen e5 check, but I knew that I had to block with the bishop because I also covered this move in the video that I published 2 days ago on this same channel. After this, my opponent played pawn to g5 because what else can they do? Pawn to d3 is coming anyways, so I just took on g5 with my h-pawn, and this was double check, so black had to take the pawn, after which I played pawn to d4 check plus counterattacking the queen, and my opponent resigned. So I played this game in exactly 19 seconds, yet I knew exactly how the game was going to end. This is why I teach you these things, you guys. These things do work in practical games, and remember, blitz chess is part of chess. In fact, in this era, most world championship matches are decided by blitz games, like what we saw in the world championship that was played between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana, where Magnus won the championship in the blitz section. So you can't just say no, blitz is not real chess or whatsoever. This is part of the game, and you need to know these tactics. Anyway, this is what I wanted to show you for today, but before I end this video, let me show you the live footage of this actual match so that you can see the moves in real time, like how we were playing, for the satisfaction of your eyeballs. And remember to subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already, and do leave a comment in the comment section to let me know what you think about this. If you think this is a practical gambit to play even in serious bullet arenas. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.